Physics Travelers. My name is Peter H. Ball, and today we're going to try to go through the basics of the Adobe Photoshop, the program that's used by almost every digital artist on the market and that can help you a lot. With no more introductions or stuff like that, let's just take this program by storm. This is the main interface of the program. If it doesn't look the same to you as it does to me, don't panic. There are plenty versions of Photoshop out there, but in the essence are all the same program with the same basic. We're gonna go up here on File, Edit Image, Layer, and another features. We're gonna go to File. This is the first box we're always gonna open when we enter Photoshop. Basically, from here you can create a new file, open an older file or a document or an image, whatever, and save. So we're gonna open a new file. This box is responsible from how our new file is supposed to be, how we want it to be. We're gonna enter the name. Let's call it tutorial PS basics. So we have the name on. These are all presets. So the clipboard is the basic. You're gonna go to it. Default Photoshop size, which is 70.5 with 72 pixels per inch and 8-bit. We're gonna go US paper. International paper, you can choose A4, A6, A5, A3. This is very useful when it comes to posters or invitations or stuff like that. Photo, you're gonna have all the presets that international photos have. You can choose web. This is gonna make you the presets that image for web must have, but we're gonna go with clipboard. You can film a video, mobile devices, custom. You can go to this all and see what happens. We're gonna choose clipboard, so we're gonna make this full HD. So the resolution for full HD is 1920 under 1080. Okay, we're gonna make 300 pixel per inch. Pixel per inch basically means how many pixels are in an inch, and this won't affect our photo very much. It's gonna make more sharp. You have more pixels to play with. Like for web, it's good to go with 72 pixels per inch, but for digital works, splash arts and stuff like that, always 300, always 200. And for printing, you don't want to go to the print with 72 pixels per inch because it's just not gonna work. 300. And for more vibrated colors, to say so, for the colors to be beautiful and more colors, you can change 8-bit to 60-bit, but this is preference. You can put it 32-bit if you want, but 60-bit it's okay. Here you can see how large is our file until now. So we're gonna fill 11 megas. There, we are not gonna talk about this. If you like this preset and you want to use it again and you don't want to close it, go again to do it, you can save it as a preset. Okay, so this box popped out here, and 1920 per 1080, it's full HD. Let's just call it full HD. Boy, and hit OK. So when you go to this, you're gonna have clipboard, default Photoshop, and full HD. Boy, just click change it, and it keeps the things that you set it. Let's hit OK. So this is our file. This is our canvas. Imagine just as how it sounds, a canvas, a paper. This will gonna be our workflow. So this is the background. An advice now. It's good not to work on a background. So when you open a file, just hit Ctrl G to duplicate, Ctrl G to duplicate this background and hide it if you want the background from behind. You can do the same thing by just double clicking on the background, and for this to go off, but we're gonna just hit Ctrl G, make a duplicate of the layer of the background, and we're gonna end up with a new layer, a normal layer. So these are the tools, these are the main tools that we're gonna use. You can put it over here, wherever you want it. These are the tools we're gonna use. Okay, this it's to grab stuff. You see, oh no, what have I done? I grabbed the first layer and just move it around. This is all I did. I just click and move it around. So yeah, the gray squares and the white squares in Photoshop is the way of the program to indicate transparency. So when you see this stuff, it means that there you have transparency. So Let's hit escape to not move nothing. Oh no, let's put it just back there. Okay. Yeah, so this is the basically the layer we're gonna work on. Let's hit enter. I'm gonna import something, an element to say so. I'm gonna import this. Okay. So now we're gonna have our, you see I am on selected this layer. We're gonna delete it and we're gonna end it only with this character. Um, let's make the background see. Okay, so now we have this character. Basically with this tool, which has the shortcut V on the keyboard, we can move it around and we also can scale it. But oh no, what's happened? It doesn't scale right. Well, to scale right, just press Shift while scaling on your keyboard and it's gonna scale proportionally. It's gonna keep proportions to say so. Let's make it bigger. It's pixel figure I made a few days ago and put it over here. Yeah, Control T for transformation. So this we can transform our figure as we want it. You see, this cursor transforms uh, under his position. And based on his position, he changes form, his icon. We can rotate it. We can do perspective by hitting Control and dragging from one corner. It will deform in perspective. So this is something. Hit Control and we have this weird thing. Gonna hand how we are not gonna work. Control Z, it's Yundo. So when you hit Control Z, it's gonna come back to the previous action that you make. But I don't want it to come here. I want it to come even further. I want more on those. So for that, we're gonna hit Control Alt Z as many times as we want to can get where we want to get and to can get back to the first action. Okay, so this tool, it's like your car. So you're gonna use it up. You're gonna use it a lot. You're gonna certainly use it a lot. Okay, I want to explain layers a bit because they are very important. I'm gonna hit Ctrl G. I'm gonna duplicate this layer again, and I'm just gonna drag the one from the front. I'm maybe gonna put a gradient or something on this gradient. Okay. Oh no, just a color overlay. Oh, we're gonna change this. This is so ugly. Can make it purple. Okay, and we're gonna make this. We're gonna make this uh, somehow pink. So this is how layer works. It's basically like unclothing. It's something on top of other thing. You see, like the pink one is on top of the purple one, and you can clearly see that if I move layer 2, the purple one, above the pink one, it's gonna be on top. So this is how layer works. It's very simple. It's like the order of layers here in your composition will be the order of layers in your canvas. So what's on top is gonna be seen first. This is how it works. It's a very simple thing. We're gonna just go back with Ctrl Z again and again and again to come back to this little space girl. Okay, so this is uh, here we have the selections. So with selections, it's basically what it says. You select things. We can select this and move it. Oh no, we cut ahead of our girl. That's okay. Um, yeah, this is what selection does. Also, when you select something, everything you will do is gonna keep under the selections. These are the selections. So let's take a brush. This is the brush, and the brush is brush, and draw a line. You see, even if I started from here, the line will be drawn only under the selected area. If we invert the selection, let's just invert the selection. Uh, Fatter. These are the selection properties. This is what you can do with the selection itself. I want to invert it, so we can deselect it from here, and now we deselected it. We can select inverse. So right now the selection, it's not in the square, uh, wherever. It's everywhere in here. So when we draw a line now, it's not gonna go in this square. You understand now the principles of the selection? It's very simple and it's what it is. It select things. This is what selection means. It's very simple. You got a little arrow on here, and if you press it, you're gonna have more options to select. Elliptical marking tool. This will select basically in a circle. And if you press shift while selecting it, it's gonna make a perfect circle from the point that you start the selection. So this the same thing, just start selecting stuff. Pressing Q on the keyboard makes you see the unselected areas and of course the selected ones. But it's just for you to see where it's not selected where you select it. If we press Q again, the whole red thing is gonna go. So I wanted to talk about the shortcuts on a keyboard. Control Shift E, it's from invert selections. So it's very good to associate the keyboards with the words A, I, it's from invert. So now if you press Q, we can see the selections are all around the character and not on them. So now the masks is here. You cannot see anything. Um, yeah, so this is basically how it goes. We're gonna hit Control D from deselect, and now nothing is selected anymore. And you can play with this. You can see what it works. Just a grid selection. See why would you do that? And I truly don't think that someone is using those, but they are cool. Can't truly. Oh no, I just moved uh, I a line of pixels away. I'm a bad guy. Okay. The next tool I want to talk about is lasso tool. Lasso tool, it's like the selection tool, but you're gonna go freely with your hand. You draw the selection with your hand. So we draw that thing. We can draw this thing, this thing, this thing. Another thing we observe is that when we make a new selection, the previous one disappears. So how am I going to do if I want to do, I don't know, bubbles all around? How am I going to do to keep all the selections in? Now this is simple. We're gonna hold Control D from deselect. We're gonna do a selection here. Okay, we want this area, but we also want this area. So we're gonna hold Control. So with not Control, Shift. We're gonna hit Shift. So we can now see that a plus appears on the last tool. You see, a plus appears. So now when you draw another selection, it's gonna keep it. So we're gonna have both selections, hit F, and just move those selected areas. And bam, this is what we do. And this works and for any selections. For any selection is the same principle. You're gonna just move it around, and if you want to do multiple selections, you just hit Shift. Also, if you make it two big selections, oh no, I didn't want to go over there with the selections, you're gonna hit Alt. So right now, a minus appears on the last tool, and we're just gonna select the things that we want to deselect from the selected area, like this, and it automatically deselect. So you're gonna play with this, you're gonna see how it goes, and polygons lasso tool, it's basically the same thing but different. You're not gonna draw in you. I mean, you're drawing with your hand too, but after a click, is you can see that a stroke comes and follows wherever would you want to go, and just click, 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 click. So this wanted to be a more precisely way to select, because the lasso tool, I mean, you see it, it's really free-handly. It has his imperfections, while this, it's um very perfect. It's very on point. It's how would you want to be. It's uh, edgy. It may be very helpful for you. So we're gonna hit Alt to make a copy. You see how perfectly, and a drop shadow to see better. Where's drop shadow? Okay. No. Shadow. You can see how perfectly this cut out the selections. I mean, it's so on point. It's not handshaking or something like that. Like with lasso tool, we're gonna do this, blah blah blah, tralala, and also press Alt and drag to make a copy of it. And this is just like selection. So these are different type to select things that may help you in different situations. You're gonna see lasso tool. It can has his imperfections, but it's a good tool. It's a great tool, and I use it a lot. Okay, so we also have magnetic lasso tool. So this basically tries to follows the pixels. You see, I'm just going around or blah 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 blah, and he makes in a mask. Tries to follows the pixels around the pixels I want to select, and it's a very good tool. It just works. And let's just close it. When we hit Alt to move it, we can see that he almost follow perfectly the pattern of the pixels. He he copied almost perfectly this stuff, but I'm not quite using this a lot because the other tools can be more expressive in digital works and in photography. Why not? I'm just keep myself from this and use these two. These two are very good. This is very good for edges, and this just to the things, just to take it down, and you got it. The shortcut from this tool it's L. L from lasso. Exactly, you got it. Uh, right now I'm gonna use lasso tool to delete this. So just select and press delete. Oh no, I deleted. Uh, okay, we've got it. The next tool is Magic Wand tool, and the shortcut for it is W from wand. Yes, you see, this selects a color. This selects stuff. Like if I press the background, it will select automatically everything until it finds pixels different from those who I've selected. You see, but he has his imperfections, like right here, he doesn't select anything. Right here, he doesn't select anything. Right here, he doesn't select anything. Why? Uh, you can go to tolerance, add 30 tolerance, deselect, and hit select again. So basically, as lower the tolerance is, as sharp as Good's gonna select a color. So if we go to this purple and select it, it's just got it all of these very good. But maybe this is not a good example because of the pixels, and it's pixel art. It's very easy to select things. Let's take a photo. Okay, so we bring a photo in. It's a photo I took a while ago. Yeah, it's a very cool place. Let's select the sky. Oh, it's just select an area. Why is that? Let's go to select more, right? The same thing as the selection. Pressing shift is gonna select more and keep the previous selections too. Select. The tolerance now it's very lower. It's only on 10. The program it will set his tolerance automatically to 32, I guess. I just set it on 10 because it truly can be more precisely. Look how good this selects the sky. It's gonna take a while, and took a while, but maybe in the end it will worth it. So anyway, let's just say that this was the selections we wanted to make. But what are we gonna do now with it? Whoops, I moved it. What are we gonna do now? We can delete it. Oh shit. We can delete it, right? And yeah, we've got a very ugly sky again. Or we can keep it. We can transform it. We can move it. We can scale it, but we don't want to do that. This tool and the selections on this kind of stuff are made to change colors only on a specific spot. If I go to image adjustments levels, so this is responsible for the amount of light and the amount of shadow that our picture, our canvas has. So if we increase this, you see, the light, this area is going to be more lightful. So we can shoo, it just turns into white from some point. If we make this, everything becomes darker. So this is what levels do, and that's why selections are used for this kind of stuff a lot. This is basically the middle tone from anyone. Yeah, it's pretty good tool. We're gonna hit cancel. Oh, what have we done? Let's just go back. If you don't have enough undos, you just go to File. No, Edit, Preferences, and General. This is not the box. It's very complicated. It's not complicated. We can go to Performance. So it's very good to let Photoshop use as many megabytes as you can, as many the number in this box to be as big as you can, but not a maximum, because this will lower the performance of your computer extremely much. It's based on the RAM you have, it's based on the processor you have, it depends, but it's better to let Photoshop use as many of this you can, because this helps the program's performance. History states, so this is our number of undos, to say so, of Ctrl Z. If we want more, we can add as many as we want. So the maximum is 1000, but to be honest, it's just not worth it. It's truly not worth it. I know a lot of people that keep it on 100. If we have 14, I mean 13, yeah, it's very bad. You can only go 30 steps back. So I keep it at 18. This is reasonable stuff, but you can put it on 100. So this is basically the number of steps we can go back. If we want to make it higher, just put the numbers higher and stuff like that. It's very easy. Let's press OK. We can now do stuff. Let's talk about this. So we're gonna go back to the tools immediately. Let's talk about image. On here, we can edit it. Adjustments is basically what we're gonna use the most. Brightness and contrast, levels, curves, exposure, and all the little stuff right here. Let's go to levels. This is the box we've talking about earlier. If we don't have any selected areas, it's gonna apply it and all the photography. So now we've increased the contrast of this stuff as best as we can. It looks horrible, but this is what this window do. Curves, I also use curves a lot. This is just like levels, but different. Why is different? Like here, it's not. If you move this curve up, it's gonna increase the white values from our composition. If you move these curves down here, it's gonna increase the black values from our composition. Let's just leave it to normal. The normal is okay. So this is very good and different from levels because you can choose the channel you want to modify. Like right now we have RGB, which refers to the whole composition. Let's increase the contrast. This is a very good way to increase the contrast, making this little S curve. It's very pleasing to the eye, no, for some reason, or I like it a lot. Let's change it. You see, we have RGB altogether, but we can choose red, green, or blue separately. So right now we're gonna modify the red channel only. If we increase this, the values of red will pop out. If we decrease this, the values of red will go down. So right now we kind of get rid of our red into our composition and make everything very bluish. If we go to the green, we can increase the green and everything starts to be extremely green. The same thing for blue. Everything can be blue. This is just looks horrible, but you got a point. Curves, it's also a very, we're gonna hit cancel to not save anything. Curves is always a good tool, and I use it a lot in this set. Of course, you can go with exposure too. Exposure is basically like on photography, um, how much the photo or the image is exposed to light. I'm not using this very often, I'm gonna be frank with you, because I don't know, it just doesn't come in handy. You can do these effects with levels of curves, of course. Another thing I want to talk about very quick is hue and saturation. This we'll use a lot. Shortcut for it is Control U. So let's just go Control U. So this box will pop out. What's curves hue and saturation will do? It's just see it for yourself. What have we done? It will switch colors between them. It will switch the values of colors. It will change them. So this is something that really can come useful to try to make changes on your photo. Try to change it a bit. So you can do this, you can do that. It changed the colors and it changed the hues, and it's very it really can come in handy. Saturation is basically how much of a color you want to leave it out there. So how strong a color is, as saturated as it is, as strong as it is, as desaturated, it's going to be black and white. So we don't have color in our composition anymore. Let's keep the saturation to 0. Lightness, it's maybe the cheesiest one. If we move the cursor here, it's going to be black. If we move the cursor in the opposite direction, it's going to turn into white. So this can come in handy, but not really, because it doesn't make things darker uh, based on the values in the image. It just makes it's like a dark solid that's on top of the image, and it's just increase the opacity of it, or in this case a white solid. It's I don't know, I don't really use it. But saturation and hue could truly come in handy. They are very good tools, and they are very nice. They're truly very nice. Okay. Uh, so we already seen how you can make an image black and white, but just go to the hue and saturation box and desaturate everything. But this is not the only way. If we go to image adjustments, we're gonna see black and white. That has a very complicated shortcut. It's not necessarily for you to remember it, but let's just hit it and it's gonna turn black and white. So now we can play with the colors that were before, to say so. We can increase the reds, basically make the reds brighter, to say so, or darker, or as we want it. But we must be very careful with how do we put the values in, because it will change it will change the whole quality, it will change everything. So one thing I want to do, and I like to do about black and white, just go over there, hit OK, go to curves, and increase the contrast, because that's why it is black and white. It's a powerful filter and it must be contrasted. So this is just my opinion. It all already look very good. I mean, the light here, well, we can work on that, but for now it's good. Let's just go back. Okay, uh, there are a lot of another boxes. Then you can go to this photo filter, desaturate. But this pretty much it with these adjustments box. So we're gonna work more on this and any of these on the next tutorials. Yes, with the selections, we can just select my head and press Alt to move it around, and it's gonna chop it. I just cut off my head, or I just pressed Control, not Alt. Sorry. If we press Alt with this tool on, it's gonna make a copy. So yeah, we put this. I put my head over here. It is very beautiful, very nice. I truly like it. I like it a lot. It's my bay. My head is my bay. Nothing cringy. Where we are? Oh yeah, this is it's just what it is. It's iPotter tool. It's Pix color. You see, these are the color boxes. So this you're gonna use with your brush. If we hit this little color, this window pops out. With this, you can change the color. You see, moving this cursor and the color will correspond to where this cursor is. You can move it around. You can, choose the color you want it to be, or you can do it from here. So there are plenty versions of Photoshop. This is the beauty of it. You can do something in so many ways. Just move the colors over here, blah blah. Hit a brush, and the brush will be the color. But we're not talking about color now. We're talking about this. This basically, it's what's it do? It's taking the color you want it to have. So just go there. I wanted this kind of color, but I just can't get it from here. No problem. I just hit there and I got it. And now I can use it and stuff like this. Okay, let's talk about brush. Yeah, this is the brush tool. These are the settings of a brush. So here you can go through all sets of brushes. You can create your brushes, but we're gonna make an episode about brushes in a very next tutorial, I think, because this is a very, very important box and you're gonna use this a lot. You're not gonna have the same brushes as me. I downloaded a lot of them. Let's just go with a basic brush. Yeah, with the opacity of a brush basically indicates how transparent or not transparent the brush is. If we're gonna hold 100 opacity, it's gonna cover everything. We're gonna go 15, it's gonna be a little bit transparent, and with 1, it's barely seen. Let's go with 100. The shortcut to change the opacity of a brush, it's on your keyboard. It's on your keyboard. Yes, the shortcut is on your keyboard. How shocking is that?
I am
If you
shocked.
press 1, the opacity will automatically go to 10. If you press 2, 3, 4, 5, you're gonna see the opacity changes. So we draw a line and we press 6, and the opacity is from 16. Bam! Let's hit 9. The opacity goes to 19%. And this is very cool. This is very cool stuff. If you press them fast like 65, 65 will be the opacity. You understand how these things works? Yeah, they are very easily. Let's just keep the opacity to 100 for now. So right here under the brush we have pencil, which is like a pencil, and another tools, but we're gonna use brush a lot. Well, the shortcut for this is B. It's important to know and learn the shortcuts because with them you can work really, really fast. Knowing the shortcuts will truly pump out your time, your Photoshop game in time. So this is the cloner, okay? This tool right here under brush. This is the cloner. What cloner does is we're gonna hit Ctrl G to make a duplicate of this layer. What cloner does? It's what it says again. Cloning. You see, this area comes over here. If I want to click somewhere, it's gonna say that I cannot use it, and I need to alt click to define a source point. Okay, what clone do is you choose an area, and it's gonna copy the pixels from that area to another area you really want to copy. So I want to copy my head again over here because it's so beautiful, right? No, but we're gonna hit Alt, and you see that this changes. So Alt, and you can clearly see a change. Hit, click here, bam. Okay, so now we choose our source point. We can see them over here. So if we start into brush, you can see that cruise over there, that plus, that indicates ourselves from where are we taking the pixels. So right now I just copy around it and I just put my head over here again. Yeah, if we hit Alt from here, we're gonna copy them pixels from there. So this is very useful. It's a very useful tool. Oh my god, what have I done? This is a very useful tool for photography. So you're not gonna really use this as much in your digital work. I mean, you can, but I don't really use that much in my digital work. But when it comes to edit photos, it really comes in handy, and it's a very, very good tool. Yeah, this is what it calls it, the eraser. And what is this tool doing? It's you'll be shocked. It erases stuff. Of course, let's hide this. Uh, it erases stuff. You can erase. Another thing about this eraser, which is interesting, in that you can go to choose the pattern in which you want to erase. Let, let's say that we don't want to erase that sharp. I mean, look at how sharp. Bam. This is like, phew, the edges are very clear. We erase it completely. And there is transparency. Let's just say that we want to erase most soft, most gentle, and we're gonna hit this brush. So you can totally see a gradient going on over here. So we erased things more beautifully, more gently. Okay, so this erase stuff. You also can choose all your brush presets are gonna be your erase presets as well. So right now we erased with different types of leaves. So you can truly play with Photoshop all along. This beauty of the program. We can play with it uh, in a lot of ways, to say so. The bucket tool. So basically, what bucket tool does? I'll make a new layer. You can go to layer, new layer, and make a new layer. I'm gonna leave in layer 2, and it appears a new layer. Or you can go to this icon over here, and it will basically do the same thing. This is You can go from there, layer new layer, or you can make a new layer from here. So I made it a new layer, and I'm gonna make a selection, a square selection, and I'm gonna go to paint bucket. So what paint bucket does is that it fills what it sees with color. I fill this with color, and it will automatically fill with the color we have over here. We can change the color and refill it again, and we can play with this all along. If we make it directly on our photography, let's just say we're gonna make it on the photography, it will, oh no, 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 it will do this kind of thing. So this obviously looks very ugly, and it's not used uh, directly on photography. So you can go to fields anything with color, because it won't feel as you want. It's very ugly. We're just gonna leave it as it is for now. So this is what paint bucket do. Right here we have paint bucket tool, and on top of it we have gradient tool. It's a subdivision of the same tool, gradient tool. What gradient tool do? I'm gonna make it another square selection. Uh, it creates, oh shit, gradient tool. It creates a gradient. So I have a preset gradient over here, but I can choose it to be the colors. So the first box is the colors we have off here. I can choose to be the colors we've selected. So you can play with this gradient. Of course, you can see a gradient. Uh, it basically works like uh, it's gonna create a a gradient. Fuck that shit, from the color from the bottom, the color from the top with the color from the bottom. So it's gonna go from this color to this color. These basic stuff. We can play around. We can set gradients. This is the normal gradient, right, from left to right. This is radial gradient. You see, like a circle. From that point, we're gonna see the gradient going on. Diamond, I think. Uh, yeah, something like this. You're not gonna use that. Um, or this, just gonna make a stroke. Oh no, this is diamond. Yeah, this is the most ugly thing I have ever seen. But you can play with this all along, just like with the other tools. This is what the gradient does. Uh, right here we have liquify. No, oh my god, we have blur tool. So what blur tool does is what it says. Blurs things. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. Uh, to blur, I just blurred nothing, right? Or blur? I think I just wrecked my computer, but that's fine. Gonna blur, okay? I don't know if I can go through the pixels. Let's select this. Let's select my face, and let's try to blur it. Okay, let's blur it. You see, it will blur my face out. This is what this tool does. It's using a brush and just blur the things out. And let's blur, blur, blur. So this is way better. It's way better. This is the blur tool that blurs stuff. A subdivision will be sharpen tool. Sharpen tool is the exactly opposite. It makes things more clear. So let's go to this guy and try to sharp him up a bit. So you can see differences happening. The program tries to define pixels in this area much more clear. It's trying to make this guy extremely sharp. You see even the blurry areas. Of course, it wrecks the photo as fuck, but if we go to the distance, this is more sharp than anything else because we do it with sharp tool. And we also have a subdivision very strange that I don't know why it's here, but here it is. So let's play with it, which is called smudge tool. What smudge tool does, it's you can check the size of a brush over here with 700 pixels. We're gonna go to 52 pixels and gonna be this brush, or you can do it with close bracket to make it smaller, or open bracket to make it bigger. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, we covered that out too. Smudge tool does this kind of stuff. It smudges things. It's gonna, oh no, what have we done with smudge things? It takes the pixels from an area, it keeps the information of them and put them to another area, but does that constantly on his road. So this is how smudge tool works. This is how I created this reflection effect, smudging stuff. So we're going to the smudge again, and you see but it also blur out the information. So another tool that is just like smudge tool. Smudge tool is not that good. It's not that great. Another tool that is very good is liquify. So to get to the liquify, we need to go to filter, liquify. So liquify will open our whole image in another window. It's like another program, which is very good, and it's gonna liquify things. So this does the same things as smudge does, but better. Why is better? Because it doesn't blur out things. Like, you see, I can move the pixel around as I want, but they won't be blurred. I can move the head of this guy, just make it bigger, just, I don't know. It won't be blurred. Of course, at some point, you're gonna see a lot of differences uh, in a guy's head because you just work with pixels. Even though the liquify creates new pixels to cover this, it won't work forever. I mean, you can just drag this over and over again and look good, but you can see it doesn't blur out a bit. So this is very good. This is the smudge tool from liquify. You can also go to make things smaller with this, like if we hit our head, it's gonna be smaller. If we hit this, the icons are very, you can truly figure it out very easily what the tool does based on this icon. If we hit this, we will make the whole pixels very big. So we wrecked the hell out of this photo to prove what tools do. So let's hit OK. This photo is very, very beautiful right now. Yeah, this is it's works. It's a dodge tool. What dodge do? It's what levels do. It's just puts light in there. Like describe the values of light from the areas we go with the brush. So let's just say I want this water to be more lightful, more, you see, a subdivision of this dodge tool is burn tool, which makes the opposite. Everything goes darker. So we're gonna just go make things darker. you can clearly see the effect over here. It makes the things darker. Okay, so these with the burn and dodge tool are very important tools, and you're gonna use it a lot. Pen tool, it's another tool. It's gonna basically draw lines, and it's like a selection tool, but more precisely and extremely good and well designed. We're gonna talk about pen tool again in the future tutorials, but just keep that in mind. Keep the pen tool in mind. We're gonna see how this works. It's a very good. It's maybe the best type of selection that Photoshop has. When you try to, like, if you have a photo and you want perhaps to just cut me off from the whole photo very precisely, very good, with a transparent background, you're not going to use the selections because they're just going to fail on doing it. I mean, you can do it with them, but it is not as precise as pen tool. Pen tool is the most precise tool in Photoshop, uh, and by working with it, you're going to see uh, what I'm talking about. But I'm going to show you in the next tutorial what I mean by it. So let's just go to this extremely rough. You won't understand very much of it because I just fucked up myself so hard. But we can go by right clicking to the options that panel has. So we can make a selection here. This is the feather radius. Feather is basically how not edgy is the edge. Yeah, you get it. This is the best way that I could have it. And we're gonna hit Ctrl Shift I from invert selection and press delete. So right now we deleted everything that was around and just keep it what I selected with pen tool. But you can see how good the pen tool selected everything. Yes, you see pixels because of the resolution, but pen tool just selects things very nice. If you don't want to go to Ctrl C over and over and over again, you just can go to history, and this is um, like the normal history from your computer, from your browser, from your everything, except the fact that it doesn't have porn in it. It just have the things that you've been working on this whole time. So you see, I can go to select inverse, and it automatically goes to the selection that I did. And I just hit Ctrl D and we have it. If this window doesn't pop out, you just can go to window and search for history. And this is available for absolutely everything on this program. If you don't have color, you can go and check color. You see, I unchecked color and it disappears. Oh no, what have I done? I just can go to window. I'll check again color and it will appear. Also, you can move it as it please you. Maybe you want to have the navigator on top. Maybe you want to have the history on top. You can move the history too. You don't want to be the navigator. You want to be the color. But this is really preferences. This is how you like to do stuff. It's based on your preferences, on how you work the best. This is the zoom in tool. Okay. So with this works like a lens, and you're just gonna zoom in, zoom, 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 and hitting pressing alt, it's gonna zoom out, zoom, zoom, zoom out. So you can also by clicking, you can zoom in right here, like alt, boo, boo, woo, woo, woo. And yeah, another way that you can zoom in your work, it's by moving this cursor over here on the navigator or pressing divs. Those is for zoom out. You can see the small mountains, and this is for zoom in. You can zoom in into your composition. Okay, so this is very simple. This is very rough. Text, you just keep hitting and write something. What's up, boy? Hit this. You can move the text around. You can make it bigger. Press Shift for proportional scaling. Okay, so you can see that the text layer is different from the normal layers. That's because even though Photoshop works with pixels, some things that he does are in vectors. I'm gonna explain the difference between pixels and vectors in a bit. Basically, the vectors are mathematic calculations of stuff, and the bitmap or the pixels are only squares, are literally squares of different colors that put it together like a puzzle and form an image. This is how Photoshop works. Illustrator, for example, it works only with vectors. So um, what's the difference between pixels and vectors? The difference is that you can make a vector image, you can scale it as much as you want to. You can scale it the fuck out, and it's gonna keep itself clear. It's gonna be beautiful. You see how sharp the edges are. But if we make this thing to work with pixels, and by doing this, we're gonna hit right click and rasterize type. This is no more editable like a text layer, and it becomes a layer that only has text on it. If we're gonna make this bigger as the other one, we can clearly see pixels. Yes, we can clearly see pixels. And this is the difference between vectors, that are mathematical equations, and pixels, the bitmap, that are just squares, only squares. Okay, Phi is the shortcut for text, very easily. Just select this, and you can change the color from here. Let's make it white. You can change the alignment, like if you have more text, you can align it. Let's say that we're gonna add, oh no, let's add some, enter, hit enter, and add, okay, okay. uh, you can see that these are not aligned. So by pressing T and select everything, press this, these are now aligned as it is in this icon. It's very easy. You can change the font from over here, select all the pixels and go to fonts. This is the fonts you have. This will change the pixels, but I'm gonna show you all of these in another. So this looks extremely ugly, but what are we supposed to do? I'm gonna okay. This is also a gradient tool. This will make a solid. It works like the selections, but it makes solids. Like it fills the space you selected with the color that is here. If you choose red, it's gonna make. I'm gonna cut this. I don't want it. This is like the selections, but you draw forms. You have ellipses. You have, if you press Ctrl, you have perfect circle. Tra la la, blah blah blah. If you want to go through your work, just hit space. Space is the shortcut for this little hand. This little hand, basically, what it does, if we zoom in, go to the navigator, if we make this, if we zoom in, it just helps us to go through our image more easily. So yeah, this is fit on screen. Yes, fit on screen, it will fit your image perfectly. These are the tools in Photoshop. This is the basics knowledge that you must have about a program. Just get comfy with the layers, get comfy with everything, and oh my god, I'm just go to the original. This is the way that you're gonna learn how to use it. So do that, and then comes around and see what works for you, what things you liked. Another things I want to talk about very quickly that I forgot. You can see the rules over here, and you may wonder, okay, but what am I gonna do with this? I mean, they're not helping me at all. You can just drag with V on this a grid. So what a grid does, I'm gonna show you in a bit. Let's use this particular tool, make a square, and we're gonna move it around. So what a grid does, you can see the square snapping on the grid. So you can see, move it, if I move closer, then bam, it's gonna snap. This will help you to set things precisely. Like if you need to do a text and you want to set it very very precisely, you can just use grids. You can draw and go with as many as you want to, and they are very useful. So these are the grids, these are the colors, but this is very uh, self-explanatory to say. So you just click there, choose a color, and then that color it's gonna be what you work with. You can hit X to switch colors. like the one from the top will become the one from the bottom, and to invert colors. This is basically it. So or press this, or hit D to all come back to the classic black and white style. So this is the basics of the Adobe Photoshop. I'm sorry if you don't understand it. I'm sorry because I don't know. I have emotions. I speak bad English or stuff like that. I hope you understand. I hope it helps you a lot, and I hope I can explain myself better in the next videos I want to make. I've been wanting to do this for a while, 2014 exactly, but I never had the courage to, and just seems now that I say that I can't just stay and do nothing. I want to do stuff. I want to show the people a little bit of the things I know. One of the things I want to mention um, on this the end of this tutorial is that I don't want this to be a how to draw or how to work or how to channel. No, not at all. Even though I post tutorials, I don't want you to take it as how to's. I want it to be a let's do it together. I mean, I am not an expert on anything. You can uh, comment me below to see, oh my god, man, this is not a setting you must have for that, or something like that. This is not a tool used for that, and we can have a discussion. We can do a conversation between what's right or what's not. Yeah, so I just want to keep this atmosphere on this channel, and I truly hope it helps you. Again, if you are unfamiliar with my if you are unfamiliar with my work, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, DeviantArt. I'm gonna put the links in the description. I'm basically Peter H. Bone, wherever would you search, except YouTube. Well, I branded Context Studio. Yeah, so this is it. I hope you like it. I hope it helped you. And yeah, see you in next tutorials.
Right now.